I'm honestly disappointed in how this whole Clippers situation has unfolded, and not for the reasons people online keep screaming about. Yes, Chris Paul isn't perfect. Yes, he can be intense, confrontational, and demanding. But what just came out makes the organization look 10 times worse than anything CP3 has ever been accused of. Because the story didn't end, it actually got way messier. A leaked video just hit social media, and it has completely blown the doors off this situation. In that clip, recorded during a preseason open practice at the Pechanga Reservation, the Clippers head coach is caught on camera saying this about Chris Paul. Ain't no name on it. Get the ball and get the out the way. That's a direct quote aimed at a 12-time All-Star, a future Hall of Famer. A guy who, whether people want to admit it or not, changed the culture of the franchise the moment he arrived over a decade ago. Now, to be fair, former Clipper Bones Highland immediately jumped online to defend the coach, saying it was just playful banter and nothing serious. And normally, that might be believable. NBA locker rooms joke like this all the time. But context is everything. Because this is the same coach who reportedly kicked CP3 off the team at 2:30 in the morning, refused to meet with him, and literally stopped speaking to him in the weeks leading up to that moment. So when this video leaks right after that drama, yeah, it hits way different. And that's not even the wildest part, because now we finally know the real meaning behind CP3's cryptic Instagram post, the one where he only posted the dictionary definition of the word leeway. At the time, nobody knew what it meant. People were confused, memeing it, debating it. But now, the puzzle pieces fit perfectly. It all traces back to the Clippers game on November 29th against the Mavericks. Kawhi was on a minutes restriction and clearly struggling to keep up with Klay Thompson defensively. So Chris Paul did what he's been doing for 19 plus years. He checked on his teammate. He asked if he was feeling fresh, if he needed a switch, if the matchup was okay. Then he calmly suggested to the team, maybe someone else should take Klay until Kawhi gets warm. That's leadership. That's experience. That's CP3 being CP3. But the next day, assistant coach Jeff Van Gundy called Paul into a meeting on the plane and confronted him. Did you change the defensive assignment yesterday? CP3 said no. He only suggested an adjustment. And Van Gundy responded with the line that explains everything. You might have had leeway in other places, but you don't have that leeway here. Let me say this loud enough for everyone in the back. An assistant coach actually told a 12-time All-Star, a 9-time All-Defensive player, and a 21-year NBA veteran that he didn't have the leeway to make on-court suggestions. And according to multiple reports, that moment wasn't isolated at all. It was just one example from a series of verbal clashes between Jeff Van Gundy and Chris Paul. So when CP3 posted the dictionary definition of leeway on Instagram shortly after, yeah, now the picture becomes a whole lot clearer. It wasn't a random post. It was a message the Clippers had zero interest in hearing. Because just 5 days after that Mavericks game, they sent him home. Now, let's keep it completely real the way we always do on this channel. Not everybody is siding with CP3 here. Kendrick Perkins went on a podcast and asked the exact question many people have been silently wondering. This came from guys who know Ty Lue extremely well, former champions who've been in the trenches with him. Their point is simple. It takes a lot to get Ty Lue to that level of frustration. So Perkins asked the hard question. If things got this bad, what exactly was Chris Paul doing? And then Perk dropped the real bombshell. According to him, CP3 was allegedly going behind the coaching staff's back, whispering to players, stirring the pot, and fueling tension during a season where the team was already struggling. Perk claims former CP3 teammates even texted him directly, saying, "Perk, stop acting surprised. You know CP3 ain't no saint." One story in particular stood out. During a timeout, Van Gundy gives a young player a defensive assignment. The huddle breaks, and CP3 allegedly walks over and tells the rookie to do the opposite. The kid listens to CP3 and gets cooked on the very next play. Real or not, that story highlights a brutal dilemma for young players. Who do you listen to? Your coach, or one of the smartest point guards in NBA history? But even if all of that is 100% accurate, does it justify sending a 40-year-old franchise legend home mid-season during his farewell tour? Does it justify refusing to even meet with him when he requested a conversation? There's a difference between addressing behavior and publicly humiliating one of the greatest players to ever wear your jersey. And that brings us to something even more alarming. DeMarcus Cousins spoke out, and he didn't hold back. He said this isn't new. He saw it himself. According to him, Ty Lue has had similar silent treatment fallouts with Rondo, John Wall, and even Cousins during their short stints with the Clippers. All gone quickly, all after tension. Cousins said something that really hit hard. You can't call yourself a player's coach if these patterns keep repeating. And here's the wildest part. Even Cousins, a guy who openly admitted he still hates Chris Paul, believes the Clippers did CP3 wrong. When someone who dislikes you still defends you, that tells you everything. I'll be honest with you, I'm disappointed in the Clippers organization. No communication with Ty Lue, no communication with Steve Ballmer, and absolutely no transparency with the player who helped build their modern identity. But then Blake Griffin said something that completely changed the weight of this entire situation. That number 3 was going up in the rafters. Think about that. Chris Paul's jersey, the most iconic number this franchise has ever had, was on track to be the first number ever retired by the Clippers. And despite that level of history, that level of impact, they still sent him home like he was disposable. Blake didn't stop there either. He made it clear this isn't a Clippers culture problem, it's a leadership problem. According to him, there's one person who's been the common denominator in these conflicts, and it's the same name every former player keeps bringing up: Lawrence Frank. Blake's been through it himself. Just months after he publicly committed to being a lifelong Clipper, the franchise blindsided him with a trade. And now CP3 is experiencing the exact same treatment, not just moved on from, but humiliated. When Chris Haynes reached out to Chris Paul for his reaction, CP3 didn't sugarcoat anything. He said, "I'm still scarred by it all. I'm still processing everything, but I'm staying ready." Scarred after 21 years in the league, after everything he's given, everything he's done, and after returning home to finish the final chapter of his career where it began. If a player like Chris Paul feels scarred, that tells you everything. And then CP3 posted a FaceTime screenshot with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan, the Lob City trio reunited, but under circumstances nobody ever wanted. 3 franchise legends, all pushed out in ways that should have never happened. Shortly after, Mark Spears confirmed that Chris Paul has no intention of retiring. He wants to finish his farewell season, just not in Los Angeles. But here's the part that's confusing. Remember that viral clip of Ty Lue saying, "Chris Paul?" The internet ran with that clip. But when the full practice video came out, it showed something different. It showed CP3 talking to James Harden about running a more structured offense. Ty Lue didn't just snap. He actually went up to CP3 afterward and tried to explain why he disagreed. It was a heated moment, not a personal attack. Now let's talk about the future. December 15th is the first day the Clippers can trade Chris Paul. Their other options are to waive him and eat his $3.6 million salary or work out a buyout. But even those paths are complicated. The Lakers, the most obvious destination, reportedly aren't interested right now. Yes, he's best friends with LeBron. Yes, he already has chemistry with JJ Redick. Yes, he wants to stay near his family. But the Lakers legally can't sign a 15th player until January 19th. Other teams? Several GMs told reporters they don't want to use a final roster spot on a 40-year-old guard. And let's not pretend the league isn't watching this Clippers fallout either. Some executives quietly believe the Clippers were justified. Behind closed doors, some think CP3 may have contributed to the tension. Austin Rivers, who played with him for 2 seasons, described him like this: "He's very demanding, and it's not always nice." So where does that leave us? A Hall of Famer, a top 5 point guard of all time, a player who helped revive a dead franchise, and now he might finish his career without a team. Let me be real with you. I don't know if CP3 was perfect. I don't know what happened behind closed doors. But I do know this: Chris Paul is a 12-time All-Star, an 11-time All-NBA selection, a 9-time All-Defensive guard, the second all-time leader in assists and steals, the first player ever with 20,000 points and 10,000 assists, a guaranteed first-ballot Hall of Famer, His number was supposed to hang in the rafters of the Intuit Dome, and the Clippers sent him home at 2:40 a.m. during his farewell season via text message. That's not just wrong. That's disrespect on a historic level. If there were problems, you handle them like professionals. You meet with him, you communicate, you show respect, not silence, not avoidance, and definitely not a midnight dismissal. At some point, the Clippers have to stop pointing fingers at the players and start looking in the mirror, because we've seen this pattern with Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, DeMarcus Cousins, Rajon Rondo, John Wall, Russell Westbrook, and now PJ Tucker. Chris Paul deserves better. He deserves a real ending. And I hope one franchise steps up and gives him the farewell tour he earned. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.